Wrestling with wrestling's past and present.
How old were you?
I was -3.
JR is trying to contain Jim Ross.
McFlurry,
It's Mick Foley. Do you see any of the aggro crag? Was any of that left over?
No, unfortunately not.
No?
I'm taking some of that home.
Definitely not is the barn burner that Leaf Cassidy and Tiger Singh was, but we'll leave that there.
We digress.
God, I hope that storyline ends soon.
And 6 to 8 weeks later, they mail you a freaking magnet.
Yep. You may know him as the Red Rooster.
Is it still real to me? Damn it!
He kept making out with his wife. It was weird. So then, I'm waiting for them to put the Selena Vega on a pole match.
And I mean, Big E's got Whale performing in his entrance, so I feel like
Wale.
they would.
It's Wale.
Wale. I don't listen to. Okay, well, I don't listen to him, so I apologize to Wale.
This is in the mail, my good sir. No, it wasn't. Paul.
I feel like Vince is just gonna have them team together and be like, have them called Woo Bro. Like they're just gonna be the Woo Bros. Like, anyway.
Giving us a reason to come here and listen to ourselves talk.
Absolutely, and
And then you can listen to us too. We're off to a rough start.
Strap on and balls only on Wrestling Past and Present.
This is Gangrel, the Vampire Ward, and you're listening to Wrestling where Wrestling's past and present.
This is Wrestling with Wrestling's Past and Present. I'm Tim Kirk.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And today it is episode 79, and we are going to review and discuss AEW Double or Nothing, which took place last weekend.
I think that this show, even being hard to predict, just because they don't have pay-per-views every week and they're not Vince McMahon, I think made it even more, like, for me personally, like when I got a match right, I was like, fuck yeah, like, yes, like, all right, good, I got one, because like it just felt like there were so many matches that we didn't know which way they were going with. And the show itself was a long show, but it was a very good show. I mean, I will say it was probably a little bit longer than it needed to be for the night altogether, but the matches were fantastic.
No, I agree. It definitely felt long because of the buy-in and the video packages. However, I felt like the piecing and the wrestling, I mean, each match was given a really decent amount of time. I mean, besides the Miro and Lance Archer match, each match went for about, 10 to 20 minutes. So, I mean, they had solid time. The Battle Royal unfortunately takes, precedence time-wise. But from bell to bell, I didn't really see a match on this card that I was like, we could have done without that match, or that match sucked, or what kind of booking is that? And you didn't get crap finishes, and that's what is refreshing. In WWE, not to always, harp on them, but sometimes you watch their monthly pay-per-views, like you said last week, Roland. The problem is that it's a rolling feud or it's a rolling build. So you're just throwing stuff, and you're like, well, we don't want so-and-so to win clean yet, so we're just going to have a false finish, or we're going to have a count out, or we're going to have interference for the umpteenth time. This was a lot of blow-off feuds. This pay-per-view was a lot of build-up and a lot of storyline. So the pinfalls, the submissions, everything meant something. So, and that's what I think makes it more enjoyment, is you care about the finish, you care about where they're going, and you were invested in the match because the match just meant something. It wasn't thrown together. It wasn't, Roman Reigns having Jey Uso be main event again every week.
Well, and sidebar, I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but more releases by the WWE. We posted that on our page earlier this week when the news broke. Explain to me this, listeners, Tim, Mongo, Vince McMahon, anybody, explain to me how you can have a guy like Braun Strowman and you fucking miss. Like, how does that happen? I don't understand.
He's Vince's prototypical guy. He's
Yeah.
Vince's
Yeah.
what Vince what's
That-
it
that
doesn't make
guy
sense.
that guy bailed them out of WrestleMania when Roman went home with COVID. He then gets a monster contract shortly before that, or whenever he renewed, he got a monster. He was making around $1 million, and that's why they let him go. But this guy literally had just gotten to his house, then was private jetted back to win the belt from Goldberg, and a little over a year later, they're like, "Hey, Braun, bye," and it's like, what? Like, he was literally, and then like people like, Ruby Riott on that list, and you have somebody like Eva Marie coming back. Like, What if, like, hear me out, fans, hear me out. Anybody that listens, anybody within earshot of what I say, hear me out. What if we just stopped watching? Like, what? Like, honest to God, like, what if we just stopped watching SmackDown and Raw? Would we really?
The fans had Raw got the lowest rating. It was 1.2.
Right.
Dynamite did better than Raw's third hour this week. Yeah. Dynamite. I'm not talking about the Friday Night Dynamite. It's all the trolls are going to come after us. Oh, Dynamite only got 500,000 this week because of the NBA playoffs are on Friday nights for the next three weeks essentially. Which that's kind of why they also want to get out of Jacksonville too. But different story. But I don't get it. Raw used to be the show. I was telling Emily tonight, Raw was the show, and I know Tim's the same way because I see him shaking his head. If it was 8:45 and you're on your way home, you're like, we got to get home for Raw. Raw starts at 9 o'clock. We got to be home for Raw. I don't want to miss Raw. If you tuned in 15 minutes late, like, crap, what did I miss? Now you tune 15 minutes late, you're like, I didn't miss anything. And fun fact, how many women are left on the SmackDown roster?
7.
How many?
Answer 7. Yeah.
How disgusting is that?
Yeah. And to quote the Step Brothers movie, you know, it's like you said, going home, it's like Dane Cook pay-per-view, 20 minutes, let's go. Like that, no joke. That's exactly what it was like back in the day. It was like, oh crap, it's coming on, I need to get home. Like, no joke. Now I don't even care if I watch the damn thing. I will record it, watch it the next day, and fast forward through all the garbage just so I can stay current. That's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. There's no like excitement anymore to watching it. Like I'll admit I didn't watch any WWE product this past week. I didn't watch Raw, I didn't watch SmackDown. It's not exciting. There's nothing there to captivate you like you did in like the Attitude Era. And I'm not saying you have to go back to the Attitude Era because I don't know if you can during these times, but you need something that's intriguing and willing, that makes you want to come back every week. And they just don't have anything like that right now.
AEW has proven that you can at least go back that way a little bit. You don't have to go, like you said, you can't go crazy and, you know, the way.
No, but you can go TV 14 on.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And thankfully, like, that's what I love about doing this podcast is we get to talk about AEW, a product that is the alternative. You know, yes, it's natural competition. We're going to say that to a balloon face. It's competition by proxy because it's a wrestling company's competition. New Japan is competition. That's why he's trying to buy them or partner with them. It doesn't matter if, you know, but Billy Corgan said it best in the recent interview. If you have all these companies working together, not against WWE, but working to help grow themselves, you can compete with WWE. You can compete, you know, Enron was too big to fail. Look what happened to Enron. WWE is not too big to fail. Like Roland said, people are going to stop watching. And that's why it's great that we have AEW because we have an alternative. Impact's getting eyes on it because AEW is helping send some stars over. We have an alternative. This isn't 2003 where the only thing you watched was WWE or you could pay for a Wednesday pay-per-view in TNA. We have TNT. We're going to have 2 shows on TBS TNT. We're going to have quarterly shows starting on June 26th. They're doing their first quarterly show on TNT where Jungle Boy is getting his title shot. So we have content and it's going to be out there and fans are going to start going to where they're getting entertained. And this pay-per-view, I'm going to steal Vince's line. It's sports entertained me.
And you got to think about this too. There's rumors circling around that NBC is going to buy WWE or in the market to buy WWE, but they're not going to want to buy. I wouldn't want to buy this product right now, like especially with the way the ratings are going and everything. Like if Vince wants to sell, you would think he would try to put on a better product than he is right now. They're like, but if I'm the execs at NBC, I'm watching this and I'm like, what's the draw? Now, granted, they're probably not wrestling fans, so they probably don't get it. But why? But if you're Vince McMahon, why would you put this product out if you're trying to sell it?
Yeah, no, and then not to cut Mongo off there, but not only that, you know, Mongo nailed it somewhat recently with his prediction of the Brock Lesnar thing. It's no coincidence that these people are all released, including Braun Strowman, at a big money contract for Brock Lesnar to all of a sudden miraculously show up 3 days later on the active roster again on the website.
And I don't want to obviously go too far down this path, but no. I think my last point of this before we get going on AEW is you have a part-timer coming back in Brock Lesnar who was only come back because there's going to be fans, taking a spot away from someone who busted their ass in the pandemic era. So again, like our complaints on WrestleMania, you have wrestlers who have busted their ass since day one of the pandemic, who has never got anything more than a hot dog and a handshake for what they did during this pandemic. And you got Brock Lesnar come in and get more than all of them combined to be a part-time wrestler or potentially take the belt away from Bobby Lashley, who is now carrying one of the worst shows you have, but having a damn good title run. That's just not fair, and I'm so thankful there's alternatives because it's so insulting as a fan.
Well, and to me, that's the biggest problem with all of it, is that you have people that deserve it way more. And to be honest with you, for whatever reason, Vince McMahon thinks that Brock Lesnar, people pay to see Brock Lesnar. Fuck Brock Lesnar. Like, honest, that's my opinion on him. Like, I could care less if he shows up, wrestles tomorrow, wrestles the next day. Like, he's not the attraction that he was anymore, because wrestling fans are sick and tired of some person carrying a title belt and showing up 3 times a year. Like, that's bull. Like, you're gonna fire or let go people like Braun Strowman, who did you a solid a year ago at WrestleMania. He was home. He could have just been like, nah, I'm home, find somebody else. But no, he was like, I'll do what I got to do. He gets back there and you know, like, but like, so I don't know. I guess that's the biggest thing, is like, I don't care. I don't give one rat's ass about Brock Lesnar I don't care if I ever see Brock Lesnar again. It's wrestling is not what it was back when he first came in. He's lazy when it comes to it. Like, his storylines, like, I don't know what people are, if there are people that buy it just to see Brock Lesnar, like they think, but they be stupid. Like, that's the best way I'm going to say it. If that's what you're watching it for, no offense to any fan that watches or listens to our show or watches regularly, you're missing the point. That's not the point. Like Mongo said, a part-timer to come in and take spots from people that have been there, keeping the show current. That's the problem. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree. No easy transition here, but let's get back to AEW Double or Nothing. There's 10 total matches we're going to discuss, which is about as many Young Bucks promos as there was throughout the show.
Yeah. So full disclosure, Tim and I watched it together. Mongo watched it separately. And Tim and I were literally joking that after every segment there was a Young Bucks promo against Moxley and Kingston. Like, and it seemed that way for the longest time. Like, we were calling the shot of it. We're like, oh, another promo. Oh, look and see. Like, before they even went to the Casino Battle Royale, they played like 2 in a row. And Tim looked at me. He's like, didn't we just see this? Like, yeah, we did. We literally just saw this. But anyways.
Yeah. So your buy-in match was for the NWA World Women's Championship. You have Serena Deeb and Rio. And like we did with WrestleMania review, we're going to play our predictions for you guys that we gave last week. So here are our predictions on this match. I think this can be a good match. I think it's a good way to start the show. I think it's perfect for the buy-in. I don't quite see a title change here, so I'm going to go with Serena Deeb to retain the title.
Yeah, I think that NWA has to be smart about when they do title changes on somebody else's show. You got to figure that, you know, AEW doesn't really have the control here creatively based on the fact that it is the NWA title. So I assume that it'll be a good match and everything, but I think that Serena Deeb retains as well.
Yeah, I can't see Rio taking the NWA title from Serena Deeb unless it's like an NWA event maybe, and it's like a crossover. And it's no offense to Rio because she's a talented wrestler. I see Serena Deeb winning also because she just came back from injury. NWA is going to want to showcase her. It wouldn't really look good if she came back from injury, won a squash match, and then lost the title on a pre-show. So I have a hard time seeing Rio win. So my pick is Serena Deeb.
Hey, we're all 1 for 1 so far.
Yeah. And fun fact for our listeners, anyone realize that Serena Deeb was Serena on the Straight Edge Society? So if you go back and watch, it's really crazy to watch. The Straight Edge Society, 2 of the performers from Straight Edge Society worked this pay-per-view because Gallows was also the other member of Straight Edge Society. So I thought that was kind of funny. I was like, you know, she looks familiar. And I thought that for a while. So I did some digging. I'm like, that's right. She had a shaved head and she was Serena in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mongo's on route again. Mute again.
I didn't say anything. So I literally said that to Tim when we were watching it. I was like, man, she's come a long way from getting her head shaved by CM Punk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was somewhat predictable, honestly. This might have been the easiest one to predict, only because it made no sense on a pay-per-view from a different company where it's not a crossover like Mongo said. So I mean, it was a good match. I still am a firm believer that Rio's stuff does not look believable one bit. It looks like she is swinging a pool noodle at people and expecting people to get hurt. Like her stuff is so soft. She's a good talent. Don't get me wrong, but that's the one thing I took away from this. I forgot how like fake. I mean, obviously wrestling's fake, so sorry if I spoiled people's dreams, but it looks, some of the stuff she does just looks so out of place because it's obviously like not even how do you sell something where like someone's trying to hit you with a pool noodle or like a couch cushion? Like it seems like all of her moves impact wise you have to do your best to sell because they don't look vicious at all.
I will say though, there was definitely good selling going on this match. That spot, like the neck breaker spot that Serena did to Rio, where she pulled her over the second rope and she just dropped out. Because I said to Emily, I was like, Serena looks like she's turning heel here because she was doing a lot of heel tactics. And then as soon as those words left the orifice of my mouth, Excalibur said, "Wow, she's kind of changed her style up a little bit." And I'm like, I got something right tonight so far. Because unfortunately, spoiler, it went like WrestleMania. I was down, but just like Tom Brady, came back from the grave.
Right.
28-3, baby.
So we start off the actual card with the singles match. You have Adam Page and Brian Cage here, and these were our predictions on this match.
I'm going to go with Brian Cage here just because I think Team Taz needs some sort of momentum. They had the whole feud with Sting and Darby, and Sting and Darby went over. So I think Brian Cage can get the win, and I think it's going to elevate him a little bit. So I'm going to go with Cage here.
This also could be the last match where Cage is in Team Taz too, in my opinion. They've been teasing that off and on for like 6 months, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
The dissension within Team Taz with Ricky Starks, and Starks is injured right now. Hopefully he comes back, a speedy recovery with the broken bone in his neck or something. I mean, that's crazy. But when's the last time Hangman Adam Page was beaten in a singles match? Like a legitimate like pay-per-view, like, I mean, other than the match we just talked about when he lost to Jericho for the title, after he won the Battle Royale and went to, I can't tell you the last time he's lost a singles match in a big man spot. I can't. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Hangman.
So I'm going with my gut, and I also did this because I was flip-flopping. Like, this is the one that I really like. When we started this recording, I was like Hangman. When we got midway through, I was like, Brian Cage. But now I think that's literally how much this one is. But I'm gonna go with my gut. I got to go with my gut. So who better? I'm going with Brian Cage. You know who was better? Adam Page was better because I was wrong.
The only way this match would have been better if it was Hangman Adam Page against Brian Cage in a solid steel cage.
Page is special guest referee and Page is the manager.
Yeah. It's comical that like they have Ethan Page, they have Christian Cage, they have Brian Cage, they're
Hangman working with the NWA. So they have Billy Corgan, who can say, "Despite all my rage, I'm still just a rat in a cage."
Yeah, it's just funny that they have. It's just weird, but this match was a tough one, and as you can tell by my long-winded answer made me feel good about my pick, which is why I did it, and then it worked out well. So,
I mean, you were the only one. I mean, Tim and I tried to go with our gut. I mean, things were looking good though when he came out with that sick Terminator gear. I was like, all right, he's got a good entrance. It was a solid match. It looked good. And then the momentum started going towards Hangman. I was like, I chose incorrectly.
As soon as Starks and Hook came out, I'm like, yep, this match is over. Page wins.
Yeah.
So the other thing about this match, I want to actually make sure that we talk about. I think Brian Cage doesn't get the recognition he should for what an athlete he is. I mean, yeah, he may or may not take steroids or used to or whatever. Yeah, he's jacked. Whatever. We're not going to debate that. We don't know. We're never going to know. Whatever. It's fine. Obviously, he's been enhanced. Put it that way. However, for a guy that's that big and that muscle toned and everything, to do some of the stuff he does is absolutely insane. So I just want to point that out. Like, either one of them could have won this match, but I just want to make sure that people understand that he is like they say he's the machine. Like to me, he lives up to that. He can brawl if he has to. He flies a little bit when he's an impressive talent.
He is the type of talent that I can't believe Vince never went, I want that, because he killed it in Impact. I mean, he had it, and people downplay his title run Impact, but people who don't understand what Impact was doing, because every time they got a champion, something bad happened. I mean, they had a really good storyline, then all of a sudden Alberto Del Rio gets arrested, and they're like, oh, our world champion's in jail. So, I mean, that's a curveball no wrestling company would know what to do with it. You know what I mean? So he gets a lot of flack for that. But yeah, this match definitely showcased him. He's going towards his face turn. He should have a good run. And, him against Miro, him against Archer again, like they're bringing these bodies in. Mark Henry's teasing he wants to square it up. Paul White's teasing he wants to square up. So, Christian Hart could have a good match with him again. So there's a lot of potential for these, younger talents to help put veterans to put Brian Cage over to help the younger talents. And that's what this card showed, is the young guys were flourishing this card. That, all the crap that they get for, no WWE retirement home, the young talent that flourished on this card, the AEW talent that flourished on this card was a nice big FU to those haters, because Sting had his spots, but look at all the matches we had, and look at the type of talent that flourished on this card.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up is the match that I think should have started the show. It's the tag team match for the AEW World Tag Team Championship. You had the Young Bucks against Eddie Kingston and John Moxley. Easy for me to say.
You can call it Ambrose if it's easier.
Right? And this is what we had to say about that match last week.
This one I'm kind of torn with. Is the Young Bucks. I don't know how far they want to carry this heel gimmick on for, but I just have a sneaky suspicion that they might switch the titles here. So I'm going to go with Moxley and Kingston to become the new tag team titles champions.
I think that it only makes sense, in my opinion, to keep the titles on the Bucks. I think that if they're going to lose the titles, it needs to be against an established tag team. In my opinion, I think that losing it I think this is going to be a great match. Don't get me wrong. I like the team of Moxley and Kingston, but they don't need the belts. I think the Young Bucks need the belts to keep this heel turn going. So I'm going to pick the Bucks.
It's so hard. Monday, I was like, I'm picking the Young Bucks. Tuesday, I was like, I'm picking Mox and Kingston. Then I was watching their Fire promo last night where Kingston and Mox essentially addressed the elephant in the room, like, you think we're just some thrown together tag team, and I'm sick of Rod and Todd Flanders over there where they're burying their shoes, ridiculous gimmicks, blah, 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 blah. And this is Eddie. He's got my back. Like, it was such a solid promo that sold the fire and passion. And he goes, it's better than one belt, 2 belts. So, like, just that promo alone made me, I don't want to do this, but I have to switch to Mox. So Mox and Eddie are my. See, I was stuttering because I knew I was wrong. I just knew it. I got worked, brother. I got worked.
Yeah, I did too. But I thought it was an excellent match. I really liked the team of Kingston and Moxley. I thought they really worked well together, had great chemistry. And then what can you say about the Young Bucks? That has been said already about them. I thought these 4, wrestlers worked really well together, and I was really entertained. Like I said, I was a little surprised this match was in the 2-hole on the main card. I thought this would have been a perfect one to lead off the show to get the crowd going. But I don't have enough good things to say about this match.
Thankfully, the wrestling was better than the hair dye job.
I was waiting for you to bring that up.
That stormed Twitter during and after the show. Nick Jackson with the worst hair dye job I think ever. And somebody, I like one of the comments somebody put was something about you're not supposed to put spray tan in your hair. But, this match was absolutely exactly what we thought it was going to be. It was nonstop action from the get-go. A lot of false finishes, a lot of saves. It was the way a match should be that has a feud like that that's built up to it. So, fantastic match.
I definitely enjoyed it, and I enjoyed them using their lackey Brandon Cutler, with his hot shot stuff to cool them down, like the icy hot, and the fun like throwbacks to the old wrestling when they get salt in the eyes or baby powder in the eyes. Like I always remember DDP from Ready to Rumble, and he throws the flour in his eyes and he goes, "You idiot, that stuff doesn't work." Like that's what I picture when he was spraying Moxley. Moxley sold it like a champ, and I don't know, it was just fun. And like you both said, it was good wrestling, but it was entertaining. And the atrocious gear they had, like that was obnoxious, like the pocket said pocket and shit like that.
I pointed that out.
I was like, everything about like you said last week, you can't stand the character, so it's working. Like we're all like, oh, we can't stand this gimmick, this character, but it's working because they're playing these chicken shits, and it played off in the match, and the crowd was still hot for the Bucks. Like they got some nuclear heat, but they were still pretty hot. And it was really weird to hear the Major League Baseball version of Wild Thing being sung by a crowd again without Charlie Sheen walking out. But other than that, it was fun to watch.
And it was funny at one point when they came through the crowd when Moxley, I said to Tim, I'm like, man, someone's going to steal those shoes. Because Moxley threw him down at one point. I'm like, somebody should watch them shoes. There's a full crowd there. Like,
right.
We could have a problem. But he picked them back up, went to the ring with them, so it didn't matter. But
hopefully they bought bootlegs for that segment. The real ones are in their locker room safe, because that's probably where. Because I went on that StockX website, they were talking about, good God, people pay that for shoes. Like I always knew the shoe hobby was expensive, but there's some shoes on there that are like $12,000. I'm like, it's shoes. Even $200 retail is ridiculous to me. But someone's dropping $12,000 on shoes. Like, hey, if you can, great for you, but damn.
Yeah, to quote Ron Simmons, damn.
Damn.
Yeah. Unreal.
Next up is the Casino Battle Royale for a future shot at the AEW World title. We're going to play you our predictions on that match, but I guarantee none of us had the surprise entrant right on this one.
Can I go with a Team Taz member getting, a little bit of a push and a little bit of momentum for Team Taz? So I'm going to go with Powerhouse Hobbs here to win this match.
This is tough for me because, I mean, obviously you have a 1 in 21 chance of winning. So it's almost like picking a winner for the Royal Rumble. I think that, like, I would like to say Christian Cage, but, like, at what do you really push him for the title this early? Like, I'll just pick Christian Cage. Shut up talking for a little bit.
I'm just going to go ahead and say, I think Andrade wins this.
Ooh.
Because they are fighting in August at the AAA pay-per-view for Kenny's AAA title. So I think that Andrade is the surprise entrance and he wins. That's going to be my prediction. I'm going completely out there, I know, but
I will say this: Roland and I got it wrong, but at least our picks were in the match.
Hey, mine showed up last night. All right, like
and my pick was at the commentary desk for the
yes.
there.
But I will say, Christian, that hug he gave to Jungle Boy felt real. Like that emotion of him saying "attaboy" to Jungle Boy and giving him that like praise, like he just got the ultimate rub. That place was hot for Jungle Boy. Like the song they were singing, it reminds me when they sing Shinsuke's song. Like they were just so electric. The right guy won because Jungle Boy's always been, Emily pointed out, he's always been this close to winning every time they do a battle royal. He's always this close, whether it's the Diamond Ring, whether it's the Casino Battle Royal. He's always like in the final 3 or final 2. And he finally gets the moment and Christian gives him a hug, in that sweet spot where he like swung around the turnbuckle like Tarzan style was awesome.
Yeah, I thought, I liked their version of a battle royal where they come in 5 at a time. So I thought it was really well done. And yeah, I'm glad Jungle Boy got the run. And like that solidifies Mongo's point earlier about the young guys getting the rub here. And they gave Jungle Boy the spot. It's not just somebody for, washed up WWE guys.
And let's not gloss over the Max Caster rap of
yes.
When he said that Christian used to be cool when he had an edge.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like how he looked at Will Hobbs and was like, "No, nah, I'm not doing one on you."
I said that too. I was like, "What about Hobbs? You're not going to say anything about Hobbs?"
Yeah, they are so over. I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole earlier today, like I always do, and there's some cool vlogs out there if you guys want to check it out. People who went to FanFest, because if you didn't know, this whole thing was like a WrestleMania weekend. So they did Friday Night Dynamite, they did Saturday like a FanFest, which is basically like Access, and then they did some dark and elevation matches. And then they had the pay-per-view. Well, I was watching the FanFest, and the line for the Varsity Blondes, the line for Max Caster, and it was ridiculous. And it's great to see that these young guys are getting this kind of attention, because that rap he did was hilarious. I know some people hate it because he's doing John Cena gimmick. No, he's doing the gimmick, but he's killing it because he's hilarious. And what he comes up with, the little innuendos, like Roland said, like, you were better when you had an edge, or when he told Moxley's wife, Renee, give me a call, like like,
Yeah,
it's
the
great.
oral sessions remark, because that's her podcast's name. So like, it was interesting, very interesting.
And there's definitely some good participants in this match too.
Yeah, did you want to run down who was in it, Tim? Did I put you on the spot there? Or
You did, because I don't have those notes in front of me.
Oh, man.
Well, I have them, thankfully, because I wanted to make sure, I wanted to see if we missed
At least one of
anything.
us
So.
prepared.
So what I like is how they do it. Like you said, they do the card suits. So they started out with the clubs, which was Christian Cage, Matt Sydal, Powerhouse Hobbs, Dustin Rhodes, Max Caster, and then in 3 minutes, the Diamonds came in, which was Isaiah Cassidy, Matt Hardy, Preston Vance, which is 10, Nick Camarato, Serpentico, who replaced an injured QT Marshall. Then the Hearts came out, Brian Pillman Jr., Griff Garrison, Colt Cabana, Anthony Bowens, Penta El Zero Miedo, and the sickest Joker cosplay you'll ever see. Mm-hmm. And then the last group to come out before the Wild Joker was the Spades, which was Jungle Boy, Mark Quinn, Aaron Solo, who had a really small run. Let's just say he matched Santino in the Royal Rumble with his run. Evil Uno, Lee Johnson, and then the surprise that nobody saw or wanted coming, Leo Rush.
I think I threw that wanted because no one. It seemed like even the people there were like, "Oh yeah, what a surprise!"
He's getting, unfortunately, he's a talent. I don't want to down his wrestling ability because he can go. If something just doesn't rub me the right way about him. And Emily watches a show called The Challenge, and I guess he was just on that, but he left for personal reasons. And I know he had some issues in WWE, and he said some real life beefs with Mark Henry. Like, he said some pretty nasty things about Mark Henry, but apparently they squashed it. But the rumors are he's in New Japan, so maybe this was a way just to kind of like showcase him in front of a crowd again, just to get him ready for New Japan. But I don't know. I guess because you always hype up like we want someone different. I was like, oh, Leo Rush.
The letdown. It was like the letdown at the previous pay-per-view when you had Ethan Page come out. I mean, the same thing.
Well, and then not only that, it's kind of comical though, because he debuted on 205 Live at the show in Manchester way back when. So like that was kind of a cool thing, I guess. Like we get to see him like they were hyping his debut from the show, the SmackDown taping that we went to. But
let's be realistic. We were all there because Shinsuke was debuting on SmackDown, not because of 205 Live.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Next up is the singles match between Cody Rhodes and Anthony Gogo. And like we did last week, I can't help but break onto that Wham song. But here is what we said about this match last week.
I'm going to go with Cody here just because a couple weeks ago on Dynamite, he lost to Shaq, even though Shaq had that table spot. I don't think he can lose to two, quote unquote, wrestling outsiders in a row. So I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes to pick up the win here.
This is one of the only things I don't like about AEW right now is that for some reason they have this hard on for a guy that doesn't even wrestle per se. Like, I mean, maybe he will wrestle finally in a match like against Cody, but this is my hot take, and it may be an unpopular opinion, but I think that wrestling needs to be about wrestling, not about some guy that was a boxer that's blind in one eye or whatever and that can punch people really hard. Like I'm pretty sure that anybody that wrestles can punch somebody really hard too. Like, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there. It's not like he's, it's not like the wrestlers don't know how to fight. So I'm going to pick Cody after I'm done getting off my soapbox.
I'm gonna go for the record, Cody Rhodes. But I kind of have a fantasy booking for this one. Is that maybe Anthony Gogo kind of comes out as a monster and attacks and shows that he can do some sort of wrestling in the ring, and Cody's going to win until the American Dragon Bryan Danielson comes out and attacks Cody. But I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I said it's fantasy booking. That's why my actual pick, my realistic pick, is Cody.
That was Cody. I got cut off there, but
Yeah, at least only got that time helped.
Who edits this stuff? Seriously.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Look, Bruce is still using his video professor to figure it out. So that's a throwback for anyone under the age of 30 who doesn't know video professor. Go on YouTube.
True.
You know, I thought this match was better than I expected it to be. Anthony kind of impressed me. I wouldn't give it, quite the level that Bad Bunny impressed me at WrestleMania. But it was better than I thought. But yeah, it was kind of predictable to me that Cody was going to go over.
Yeah, this was along the lines of the Serena Deeb match. You don't have Cody Rhodes come out, say he's going to be the American Dream for one night and lose. You just don't. That's how you get places burned to the ground. I mean, it wouldn't have happened there per se, but there would have been some, when there's certain events where people, if this person wins, we riot essentially, and we'll get into that.
In the ring,
well, that's a nice foreshadowing there.
Mm-hmm. We'll get into that later on, maybe. Anyhow, but it wouldn't have been to that level, but I think there would have been a lot of pissed off fans if he essentially dedicates this match to the memory of his father and then loses. And like I said before, I think this rivalry is not between Gogo and Cody. It's between Cody and QT. So to have it be that way, like, here's the thing: if you're gonna stick anybody on, and a believable anybody, why wouldn't it be Nick Camarado? That dude is a big son of a bitch. Like, and he can wrestle. So like, why wouldn't you stick him on him? Like, they built up Gogo, and the best part is too. Tim and I discussed this ad nauseum because they kept talking about it. I feel like if you're going to promote someone as an Olympic boxer, you don't want to point out that he was a bronze medalist, because that means there's still two people that are better than you. You just say he's an Olympic boxer, period. Olympic champion boxer. That's it. You don't say, well, he was a bronze medalist. It's like, well, that's good, but he still was third best. But again, this is nitpicking and everything, but I don't like the gimmick, the shtick of Gogo. The hating America thing, and I'm here to make money and all this stuff. And the match itself wasn't terrible. I will say it was better than I thought it was going to be, because it wasn't just him punching Cody repeatedly. So I'll leave it at that.
No, you're right, though. I mean, it's a tired wrestling trope to see country X versus America, and then it's one of the cliches. Like, when you watch a movie, one of the cliches that always pisses me off is when there's a loaf of bread sticking out of a round paper bag with a character. Like, why is everyone buying French bread at the store? And that's kind of how I feel about that kind of stereotype in wrestling. Like, why is it always Canada versus the US, like we talked about in the TNA episode? Or why is it always? It's because it's cheap heat, but like you said, it just didn't make sense where they were going storyline wise, because this match should have been QT Marshall, but we heard he's injured, so this kind of sounds like maybe it was a right-in replacement match, because he sounds like he legitimately did get injured. That's why he pulled out of the Battle Royal. So maybe they're trying to set up, and maybe at All Out they'll do something with him to do the blow-off feud. But like you said, the match itself was good. Anthony and Gogo could go, and I think that Cody, showed why he is Cody Rhodes and his flair and his awesome, gear. He reminded me of like Sting, when Sting had the American red, white, and blue gear. I was like, the first thing I thought. I showed Emily a picture. I'm like, check it out. It looks just like it. Then an hour later, Bleach Report has it. I'm like, I'm not the only one who thought that.
Well, and if you're going to have Cody come out as the American Dream, wouldn't it honestly make more sense if somebody like QT Marshall, who's supposedly a good friend of Cody's, would run down his dead father? Like that to me, that makes more sense anyways. Yeah. It's more relatable. It gets more heat. It makes people want to see what's going to happen, to see him get his comeuppance. So like, maybe you're right. Maybe they were building towards that and he got hurt. But like I said, here's the thing. It's all elite wrestling, right? When do the elite lose? And I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm just saying those are your main characters. and they shouldn't lose very often. Plain and simple, they shouldn't. If you're building around the Young Bucks, Kenny, Cody, as much as people crap on Cody, he should win a majority of his matches if that's how you want to do this. He lost the important ones that he had to, so didn't Kenny, and so hasn't the Bucks. But their win-loss record is like skewed enough where like you can tell that that's where they're going. And that's one thing I will say that WWE does poorly now is that you like the whole Drew McIntyre thing. Like, you know, they're pushing him like Roman Reigns now, like down our throat. And it's like, it's cool and everything, but how many number one contender matches does he need to win to then lose to Bobby Lashley again? Like you lose once and then you go on. Like that's the thing. Like you don't see Jericho beating Kenny Omega and then the next week beating him again. And then, well, I want to get there. And then they know when to move on and when to lose and when it's smart to win. I will say that I think in this day and age, they're smart bookery enough to figure out what's important.
Fun fact, do you know who besides the Elite has one of the best singles records in AEW? The boy who won the Battle Royal. Jungle Boy has one of the best records. So I do like, you know, Darby's obviously records getting up there too, but I do like what you said, like where they're going, because the Elite are the main characters. And Cody gets criticized, but it's really unfair criticism because the only reason why people think he's mid-carder, I'm like stuttering and I apologize, was because that's what Vince put out. And that's the thing is some of these people, when they see these wrestlers, like, oh, he's another jobber from WWE. I saw things on Aleister Black about, oh, he couldn't go. BS, because if you go back and watch the Aleister Black Andrade match, which now could potentially happen in AEW with play cards right, from NXT TakeOver, it's one of universally the best matches you'll ever see. So you're seeing what Vince wants you. It's like social media. You see what people put out, what you want, their perception. Well, you know what? Cody is not a mid-card, he is a main eventer. He took himself out of the mid-card, one of the first stipulations, by saying, I'll never wrestle for the world title. It's been almost 2 years and he hasn't broken that shtick. Most people in WWE are like, I'm never wrestling for the U.S. title again. 2 weeks later, I'm opening challenge for the U.S. title. They actually stick with their storylines, and he helped make the TNT title relevant. He's helping some of these young guys. He's still got to have his star making matches because he's not going to be a believable character, like you said, Roland, if he's eating the pins when he shouldn't. But where he's fighting with the factory and he's got his 3-0 record, he's building towards something, and he's at that stage in his life where he doesn't need to be the top dog every week, but he wants to help make the top dog every week.
Yep, exactly. The only thing you can criticize Cody for is a horrible neck tattoo.
Yes.
I mean, I think his wife already blasted him enough for us on that one anyway.
Yeah.
So.
And she has to live with it.
I know, not to make fun of it too much, but I'll never forget that pay-per-view. I was like, oh, cool, you got a temporary. It's not temporary. Oh, no.
It's like, oh, my God, they painted that on his neck. It looks so good. Oh, fuck, it's a tattoo.
I mean, not my personal choice, but ouch.
No, I mean, like I said, it makes more sense to put it right across from the dream. Like, why wouldn't you put the dream here and or on his arm, or like not his, like, how do you go in for like you're trying to be like Triple H made the mention a while back that he cut his hair because he wanted to be more professional. How do you be professional with a giant ass neck tattoo on the side of your head? Like, I'm just saying it's a stigma about tattoos out there that when you're in the professional like industry, when you're in that side of things, you're not supposed to look like that. Well, it's probably not the best idea to have this giant, neck tattoo in board meetings.
No, but thankfully there's at least more progressive companies out there, but I agree with you. There's definitely a stigma, but that's one thing people don't give enough AE credit is they're one of the most welcoming companies when it comes to diversity, change, openness, not shaming. Like, we not to go back on Ron Strowman, but he just basically had a whole angle where he was bullied before his WrestleMania match. Like, one of his last storylines, he was bullied by the boss's son, essentially. I don't think they would ever do that kind of storyline in this. With like MJF does his being a dick shtick, but I don't see it would be kind of a storyline like that per se. I think they handle things better because they understand that some people don't understand that this is entertainment. This is a show. Some people might think that, Cody Rhodes is really saying that about Anthony and Gogo or vice versa. So I think they do a good job making sure they're inclusive. That's what I was looking for, to get different types of personalities in there, to get so you can get better representation. So you don't feel insulted as a fan when, like you said, you see someone like Rio Stature, who she's a great wrestler, but I would have a hard time seeing her beat someone like Thunder Rosa if it was for a title.
Next up is the singles match for the TNT Championship between Miro and Lance Archer with Jake the Snake Roberts. And these were our predictions on that match.
So this one is really hard for me to predict, but I think I think they're going to keep it on Miro. If I was, with a gun to my head, I had to pick one. I'm going to go with Miro to retain.
I'm just going to say Miro retains. I don't understand. I don't think beating Archer does anything good for him either, but I also don't think beating Miro does, because they're finally giving Miro a push. That's the one difference, is Miro's finally getting that push, and Archer's had like 3 of them. So like, I don't know.
This match has been a flip coin for me too the entire week, thinking about this. I'm like, I don't know, because I can see both ways. Do they really take the title off Miro? Unless it's interference, that's I don't know. Like, there's not many ways I can see. If Miro loses cleanly, then his push is done, and that's I don't think they're going to do a start push. If Archer loses clean, then it's just another knock on the peg for him. But I don't get that either. So it's hard. So my definitive pick is Miro, because it makes sense to keep the strap on him.
We all got that one right.
Another strap-on reference here on wrestling, where wrestling's past and present. We should have like a dollar jar every time we have to mention strap-ons. Just go in there.
I thought it was a decent match. It was hard for me to predict because, like I said, they've had short runs with the TNT title before. But I thought it was good that they kept the strap on Miro. But yeah, Lance Archer just doesn't seem to ever get any momentum going. Like, he's put in these programs and then just seems like he loses every time. And hopefully that wasn't a real snake in the bag that Miro tossed all the way up the
I don't think Peter would appreciate that.
No, I don't think so either.
The only thing I got wrong out of that match was I was wondering if Jake would turn. That was the only thing that I, out of the box, it made sense to a point, only because they were involving him so heavily that I could see them kind of, to quote Vince Russo, it's a swerve, bro. Like, I could see them, that would have made a spot to do it. But this match, again, Lance Archer, I think, is a guy like Brian Cage. People don't realize some of the stuff that Lance Archer can do in the ring. And he's, 40-ish, somewhere in that range. Like, he's not a young guy anymore. I mean, we saw him on TNA back in 2005. So, I mean, some of the stuff he does, he does the Undertaker spot off the top rope, but he turns it into a friggin' moonsault while standing on the ropes. Like, he does old school, essentially backwards, and then moonsault. Like, that takes some confidence and some balls at that guy's size to know that you're going to be able to make that maneuver happen. So, again, kudos to, Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, whatever you want to call him. Kudos to him for, at that age, still being able to perform the way that he does, and at that size, because, it's another one of those classic things. Well, how did Vince not end up with him? Well, he had him, and then he let him go.
I think it's smart booking, because this now makes Miro look like a force for a champion. That chokeslam he took by Archer, some of the bumping they did for each other, like, they both show tremendous respect for each other in the ring, and I want to see them fight again, because this was a fight. This was what I thought it would be, like 2 behemoths going at it, and it made Miro look more, like you said last week, he's getting rid of that video game character that didn't really work. This is now he's back to being that, what he was in NXT, where he's the Bulgarian brute, not to steal their gimmick, but he's now becoming unstoppable again. I'm surprised he still does his little entrance where he jumps, because he broke his ankle doing that. And I feel like, me personally, I'd be super timid to want to do that spot every time. Because remember, he used to wrestle barefoot. He'd come out and do that spot barefoot. That's why he wears boots now, because I heard he broke his foot doing that. But it was great. I feel bad for Lance Archer, but I think they're still teasing the Jake the Snake thing, because they could play this off as, you cost me the shot at the TNT, you cost me everything, old man. So there still could be some sort of turn separation there. So, Roland, I don't think you're being counted out just yet, because we make a lot of things come into reality on this show. We predict a lot of things without trying to. I feel like we accidentally predict more than we predict correctly. So far, we're doing good on this card, though.
we have that, like, mentality of, like, oh, wouldn't it be fucked up if Vince did this? And then he does it. We're like, oh. Like, this would be so stupid. And then he does it. We're like, oh, all right.
I know.
Well, apparently we have the same mindset as a 73-year-old possibly senile man. Wonderful.
And if for those who didn't see our Facebook page, excuse me, check out the tweet CM Punk said about it, because somebody was saying, "Why is wrestling like this?" And he made the most perfect analogy. He's like, "That's what happened when you have a writers writing for the audience of one of an out of touch old man." That's so true. And then you have something like AEW, like what we're watching, where it felt so in touch with like what the audience wanted, and that they listen. Like these are the matches we definitely wanted to see. Miro versus Archer, something. As soon as Miro debuted, I'm like, I want to see him versus Archer. I want to see him versus Wardlow. I want to see Miro go back to when he was coming on a freaking tank at WrestleMania. Like Miro was someone that got completely underutilized. I'm super happy for him. Hey, maybe his wife can now join him in AEW. I mean, I don't really want her in AEW because I don't think but maybe as a valet, as long as she's not a wrestler. But what a shot in the face too, that poor girl gets put through 12 friggin' tables for literally no payoff now. So they literally just punished her because Rusev Miro is in AEW. Like if you look back, WWE, for someone who does an anti-bullying campaign, bro, you're still a straight fucking bully. Like you bully a man's wife because you were bitter that Miro wanted to leave a company because you treated him like crap by doing a cuckold storyline of, hey, your wife's going to marry off another guy. And then, oh, why'd you quit? Okay, well, we're going to put your wife through tables. And she's going to lose every match she's in. But we're going to put her in another tag team, and she'll lose those matches too. And now she's fired. Literally in a nutshell, what if any company did that in the world, they would be destroyed on social media. If your job tomorrow was like, all right, hey, we're letting you go, but your wife still has to work here for a year on a contract. And then all of a sudden you're getting calls that, Amber's being made to go outside and pull a freaking car with a rope because it's funny. You'd be pissed off. And, you probably sue the pants off that company.
Mm-hmm. No, you hit the nail on the head. It's embarrassing, and it's literally to appease a pissed off, cranky old man. Mm-hmm. And this isn't like a crap on Vince thing. It's the truth. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that, like Tim said, how do you sell a company that is this much clustered? Like the product at WWE has never been this bad. It never. There's been for this long of a period. Like there's been, sometimes they have bad shows here and there, but the product right now, and you can't even blame it on the pandemic anymore, because we're out of the pandemic for the most part. I mean, we're still getting there, but we're almost fully out of it, and they still do stupid stuff that makes no sense at all. I mean, you're getting ready to go back to live crowd. You mean to tell me that people wouldn't pop to see Braun Strowman come out? Or to see Aleister Black come out? And that's the thing, about Lana. Here's the thing. For everybody that craps on Lana, think about all the shit she put up with through WWE, even before Miro left, and then the stuff after he left. She did everything she could, and to the best of her abilities, whether good, bad, or indifferent, like a friggin' trooper. And then they're just like, we fucked with you long enough, bye. And that's Vince in a nutshell.
If you think about it, I mean, my friend Frank, who, thanks for listening, buddy, points out all the time, how messed up is it, especially during the pandemic, that they fire these people from these contracts and make them uphold the 90-day no-compete clause.
Yeah.
So you'd rather pay me for 3 months to sit on my ass than go earn a living. I understand the whole, we don't want you to go to AEW or Impact on TV, but they can't even work the indies. That's messed up. I know they're getting paid or whatever, but it's not that you're taking time away from it. And that's more of a dick move, because you may be taking that chance they had to get signed, because, someone like Ruby Riott may fall through the cracks of some of the indies for a while. I mean, she's got great potential, but her momentum might go down. So it's not so much about business, because it's not, if you weren't that worried, you wouldn't make them sign 90-day no compete clause. It's because they're going to go to another company who's going to use them well. So, but this is what happens when you're in any company. When you hoard assets, guess what? Assets equal liabilities plus equity. So if you have too much debt, you're not going to make it. So what they're doing is they're overpaying all these assets. They don't go to friggin' other companies and oops, now we don't have any money because no one's watching our shows, so our advertising is going down. And then, like you said, they're going to go to a live crowd, and it's going to be hot for, the whole summer, because everybody's excited to get back. I'm excited. I have tickets to AEW Boston coming up in September. I'm stoked to be back in a live crowd. I've waited 19 friggin' months at this point. But you're telling me that by February of next year, someone's going to really care about the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view if this is the same crap they're putting out? No, they're going to go watch Revolution in AEW, in Chicago, wherever it is, because they're getting a better product. They're getting their money's worth.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I got nothing else to add there. Next up on the card was the singles match for the AEW Women's World Championship. You have Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Sheeta. And this is what we said about that match last week.
I'm going to go with the title switch here. I'm going to go with Britt Baker just because I think they've really made it obvious that there's going to be a title switch on Dynamite with the whole 1 year celebration, the new title belt. I'm going to go with Britt Baker here to become your new women's champion.
Britt Baker, DMD.
Yep, that's my pick. Same thing. The DMD, same.
Yeah, I think it was really obvious if you watched Dynamite, the go home show before the show with the whole celebration of Sheeta with the 1 year celebration. I think it just kind of gave it away that Britt Baker was going to win the title. But I'm glad. I think she's going to have a really good run, and I think she's going to be a good champion.
And the crowd, honestly, is super over. Like she is super over with the crowd right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how you would you have to take advantage of that, because when she first came in, and even when she did some of the stuff with Thunder Rosa, I don't think a lot of people in the crowd really respected her as much as they do until they saw that lights out match and the moment where she busted the shit out of her nose and kept going, a la Becky Lynch when Becky Lynch did it with Nia. It just makes you look at people and go, wow, they're badass like that. Doing something like that and still going is insane. So, kudos to her. I mean, she's playing that cocky, arrogant, stone cold Steve Austin type heel where yeah, I'm a badass, so what? And then that's what she's really gotten good at it. And it would have been a total disservice to that whole division if they had Sheeta beat her.
No, absolutely the right booking. Like you said, when the whole crowd literally yelled DMD for a heel champion, the whole crowd, usually it's 50-50. Usually you got, the smarks, the three of us are yeah, the one we won. No, like you said, the house was over for her, and Sheeta had a great run. Like we said last episode, pandemic run, had a year with a belt, carried it well, defended it, had great matches, but it was time for someone else to get the belt. It was time for Britt Baker, and she shined. And I'm really glad, because I've been a fan of her since, the first Double or Nothing, because like I said, she kind of wrestled timid, but she had that potential. And now that she's working with Dustin, Runnels, Dustin Rhodes has really helped turn her into a heel. Because if you listen to some of her interviews on her podcasts, she talks about how she just gets that killer instinct, and like you said, that badass instinct that I don't care if I'm a bad bitch, I don't care if I'm a good person. But when she puts that rhinestone glove on, she had the cool Razor Ramon tribute gear on with the blood dripping, she just, her lockjaw looks so devastating. I mean, it's yeah, the mandible claw's a thing, but the way she does it, it's oh, I got you in the crippled car space, that sucks, now I'm gonna pull your jaw off your fucking face. She makes that move deadly, so she doesn't have to have a giant slam, a super kick. She just puts her fingers and she uses the medical term, the mandibula, and she pulls down your jaw, and you cringe when you see it. And they tap out, and they've built her up, and I'm glad, because she deserves this run. I'm excited to see where she's going to go with it, and I hope she gets another feud with Thunder Rosa, because those two ladies can go.
You imagine Rio trying to beat somebody with that move? Sorry to crap on Rio again, but like you said, she makes it look so devastating.
Yeah. Next up is the tag team match. You have Darby Allin and Sting taking on Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, and this is what we had to say about that match.
I still don't think you make Sting lose here, though. It's his first match in front of fans since his WWE days. But it's hard for me to say that Sting would lose here, so I'm going to go with Sting and Darby to win.
And maybe this is a way for Sting and Darby to happen. I don't know if that's where they're going with this. I don't know, but I think for some reason I have to go with Paige and Sky. I don't want, like you said, I think that, Sting in front of the live crowd, and maybe this is setting up for turmoil between Sting and Darby. Because Sting was already a little bit critical of Darby defending the title the way he was. Like he's been with him, but he's kind of been a little bit critical of him, defending it the way he was and being reckless and losing the belt to Miro and all that stuff. Long answer made short is I think that Sky and Paige are going to win.
Again, this is a hard one because there's so many different directions they can go. But for the sake of quick answer, I'm going with Darby and Sting. And I think the reason is it's hard to have Sting lose, even if he doesn't eat the pin in front of a crowd, because this is his first match in front of a crowd since he got injured against Seth Rollins.
So Roland, unfortunately, you didn't get that one right, but I thought it was a decent match. Sting, did the spot off the poker trips, which was really cool. And from what I read online, he was well received backstage for what he could do. It was nice to see the Scorpion Death Drop again. So it looks like Sting can go. It was, I wasn't so sure when he said he was going to wrestle in AEW, like how limited he was going to be, but it looks like, he's able to go, a decent amount. And I thought this match, served its purpose. Again, I think you're going to Sting over in front of the live crowd. So yeah, I thought it did what it was supposed to do.
The finish was insane too, the way that they got to the Scorpion Death Drop. So, kudos to whoever came up with that idea. Whether it was a combination of both of them or whatnot. But, I wish I had thought, this is a classic case of overthinking. This is the one that I wish I had really thought about, like you said, the live crowd, Sting's first match, but it was almost as predictable as the Cody match if you'd sat back and actually thought about the right thing versus overthinking. So, it was a good match, and I'm actually glad that I got it wrong because, Sting's one of my favorites from back in the day, and it was good to see, and like Tim said, he did some really impressive stuff at 61 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I also like the big FU to the internet wrestling community who, if I try to be all like detective sleuth and be like, oh, last time Sting took a powerbomb, he had like this bulletproof vest thing on to protect him. It was like padding, bro. So I love that he literally looked at the crowd, smirked. If you look closely, he smirks and takes his shirt off and reveals that he's wearing his classic singlet again. So I thought that was kind of cool. Like he's like, look, I don't need the crash pad. And they were smart. They booked it in a tag team match so he can go safely. But he jumped off that poker chip, and I was like, oh, here we go. Stinger backs, baby. Like, it did what it was supposed to do. It was a fun match. It was an entertaining match. It didn't make, the men of the year. It didn't make Ethan Page and Scorpio look bad, because it still shows that there's still that potential for the feud between Ethan Page and Darby. There's still the potential for Scorpio Sky going a different direction. So it didn't really kill them out. So I think they booked it well. And like you said, the spot where he went for the jumping cutter into the Scorpion Death Drop was freaking insane. It was awesome.
Next up is the three-way match for the AEW World Championship between Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, and Pac. And these were our predictions on that title match.
I think this is going to be an awesome match. I think it's going to be a really good way to end the show. But I don't see a title switch here. I'm going to go with Omega to retain because I think they're going to keep this kind of chicken shit kind of character going with Don Callis for a long time. And I think the title reign is going to be a long one as well. So I don't see a title switch happening. So I'm going to go with Kenny Omega here.
For this Kenny Omega character to be done properly, and I know Tony Khan and these guys don't listen to our show, but for this to be done properly, he is an AEW wrestler. He needs to lose that title last. He needs to go on a losing streak of like, I lost this title, I lost the Impact title. Then he has to be clutching that AEW title. Like, I'm not going to lose this title. That needs to be the one he loses last, and it's not going to be tomorrow night. So I agree. I think that this match, if the Pac Orange Cassidy match that they had a while back was any indication, or if the Pac Omega clashes they've had have been any, this match is going to be a probably a half hour of just extreme high spots, technical wrestling. This is going to be a fantastic match. So yeah, I think that Kenny Omega retains.
Yeah, my official pick is Kenny Omega. You know, the dude who once drove through North Carolina is going to come out on top with the title.
So I was wrong in the fact that it did not close the show, as we'll get to later on. But I did pick Kenny Omega to win. I thought it was 27 minutes of a really solid wrestling match. It was a three-way match done well. A lot of times, three-way match can get kind of clustery, to use a term that we like to use here. But I thought it was done well. I thought the interference by Don Callis was it wasn't overdone. I thought it actually added to the match, added to Kenny Omega's character. So I wasn't, thrown off by that. I thought it actually added to the match. So I really liked this one a lot.
How long did you say that match went?
27 minutes.
I'll take it.
You were close. 3 minutes off.
I mean, by Price is Right rule, I went over, so I lose. But
did someone say 3 minutes?
Yeah. But this match is exactly what we thought it would be, minus the fact it didn't close the show. It was weird to think that like a match that was somewhat pre-produced closed the show, but they did a really good job of the spots being pre-produced and then transitioning to the live shots. So they did really well, and I know we're getting a little bit of ahead. So, but I mean this match was. I'll tell you right now that this is going to be the hardest card for me to say watch this one match from that we've watched in a long time. So
I enjoy it because, I mean, Orange Cassidy, like we said last time, I love the kid. I can't call him a kid. He's probably in his late 30s, but he's such a good worker because he takes that comedy wrestling, but he makes you want to care about him because, everybody criticizes him over those stupid kicks he does, blah, 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 or this, but like you said, he puts his hands in his pockets, the gimmick he does. Some of the spots he even did here, even just his mannerisms. That's what gets me is his mannerisms. Like when he faced Pac and he rolled out of the ring all over the place. Like when he does those little spots, like they're funny. You pop for him, and he could go with all of them. Like when he was hitting those Superman punches, it was believable that he could steal the victory when he was hitting those Superman punches. And I don't know, the way he like loads back. I love how he like kind of cocks it back quick. Like he does it more fluid than Roman Reigns, I think, does a Superman punch. And I also like his finisher, the beach break, where he does that like vertebreaker type move. He has a cool moveset. And this match delivered, Pac with his black arrow is phenomenal looking like always. Like you said, the interference. It's hard to even say that there was a bad match on the card, like you said. And this match definitely delivered. And you were 3 minutes away. So Eric Bischoff would be kind of disappointed, but you're 3 minutes away from your prediction of a 30-minute banger. So
I will point out that you were also you undershot how old you undershot how old Orange Cassidy really is. He's 37, so he's older than all of us. So
that's true.
It's hard.
But he looks young, so he's like
right. I mean, to be fair, after me having my situation, I walk like I'm 76. So. Right now, so to be fair, I mean it is what it is, but like I said, you can't. There's no more you can say about this match. It was a great match.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the match that actually did close the show. It's the Stadium Stampede match. The stipulation here: if the Inner Circle were to lose, they would have to disband, and this is what we said about that match.
I'm going to go with the Inner Circle here just because I think they made it kind of obvious on Dynamite last night because they did a whole celebration of the Inner Circle with Eric Bischoff coming out, showing the highlights of their best moments and stuff like that. So they're kind of teasing, this could be the end, kind of be the end type thing. So I think it kind of makes it obvious. It makes it too obvious. I think they're going to win and keep going. So I'm going to go with the Inner Circle.
It's so hard to predict because I don't think it would be smart business to break up the Inner Circle yet, but I could see them doing it. So I think based on what happened on, I almost said Impact, what happened on AEW Dynamite last night, I think you like Tim said, they kind of almost gave it away that the Inner Circle is not breaking up. So I'm going to go with, and plus the Pinnacle won the Blood and Guts match. So I think in case of 50-50 booking, I think you have to pick the Inner Circle here.
Nope, that's who my pick is. So we got my pick right now. We got the Inner Circle, baby. I'm sorry, I can't see them breaking up. I think they just turned them face. They're too hot of a faction to break up.
We all got that one right. I really enjoyed this one. I thought it had elements. It had cool entrances. It had the spectacle that you expect for wrestling. It had good wrestling. It had some comedic parts to it with the cameo by Jaguars coach Urban Meyer. Like you said, it was, some of it was obviously pre-produced, and then they transitioned to the live crowd. I thought it was excellent. That was well done. They protected Jericho because I don't think Jericho's 100% in the match. So they protected him, especially when they went to the live crowd. So it had a little bit of everything. And I thought it was a really good way to end the show. And I was really happy with this one.
It was cool to see them put Sammy over. Mongo pretty much predicted that Spears would eat the pin, which he did. And who do you have pin Spears but the guy you want to push to the moon to potentially replace a retiring Chris Jericho from here on out? I mean, Jericho's not going to do this forever, and it just only makes sense because Hager's part-time once MMA picks back up. Santana and Ortiz could always be a tag team together. So what do? You push the guy that you think is the breakout star of the group, the Shawn Michaels of the group, and that's in their eyes Sammy Guevara. So it was booked well, and yeah, there was the cameo by Conan was kind of cool. DJ Conan, stuff like they put enough comedy in there to make you laugh. I mean, I think, and it's tough to put it up against the first one, but I think this one was better than the first one.
Like you said, it's hard to put up against the first one because they're both different in their stories and how they presented it. The first one obviously was more cinematic, so it could be more fun. This one they did more live. The repelling entrance was live, which that was a cool entrance. I know people kind of crapped on it, but having the crowd sing on as they're repelling down from the friggin' scoreboard, that was pretty cool. And to come out with the Warriors vest from the movie The Warriors, I just thought the whole thing was set up great. Conan cameoing was awesome too because like you said, him being the DJ, because he used to be the manager of Santana Ortiz and Impact when they were LAX 2.0 essentially, so that was great. And then Sammy doing the spot to Sean Spears that he had done to him that actually broke his teeth, where he just drove his head to a chair and then he hit that 630. That move is just wow. I know he talks about how athletic he is and he kind of is arrogant, but his parkour in the match too, he's running up and down stuff, some of the spots he was doing, riding in the golf cart, he gets it. He gets the business, and he's so young and talented. And that's the great thing about AEW is, you have MJF, he's 26 years old, 25 years old. You have Sammy, who's 26, 27. You have Darby, who's 27. You have these young stars who are showing this potential, and then a match like this where he shows he can do the hokey shit that we love as wrestling fans. He can do the serious shit. He can do the high flying shit. He's that all around character you build around, like you said. He's that breakout star, and I think it was the right move because of the Pinnacle one, and they broke up. Where do you go? But as I said last night on Dynamite, as long as they're alive, there's going to be a war. And Hager challenged Wardlow to that MMA fight in 2 weeks, so we'll see if he steps up and how they're going to kind of present that. I hope it's not like Brawl for All, but.
Yeah, you can't go there. But and full disclosure too, the best part about all of the predictions and everything and how we did all this, and humble brag, I got one more right than you guys. I was 8-2. I didn't watch the Go Home Dynamite show before we recorded, so I had to go by what you guys told me happened. You gave me the clip notes of it because I tried to stay up, but SmackDown put me to sleep. So then, and that's the honest truth. I'm watching SmackDown. I'm like, all right, I'll watch that first, and then I'll go into AEW. Well, SmackDown put me to sleep. So when I woke up, it was 11:30 at night, and I'm like, I'm gonna fall asleep trying to watch it, so I'll just watch it later. And my plan was to get up a little bit early, Saturday morning before we recorded to watch it, and it didn't happen. I was tired. I stayed in bed. So I literally had to look at both Tim and Mongo and be like, hey, did I miss anything? What happened? So they gave me the cliff notes. So really, my success is due to my team. If I didn't have them giving me the Cliff Notes version of what I missed. Like I said, it's a humble brag that I got it right, but I mean they were only one behind me, and thank you again. I know Mongo, this is kind of Mongo's thing, but thank you again for everybody that participated in the poll that we put up. We hope to do that with some of the more major events going forward, and we hope it just keeps growing. So if you want to jump in, Mongo, and talk about that, go for it now.
Absolutely. No, we had 18 participants. Unfortunately, 3 you didn't follow the rules, so I did actually have to disqualify someone. So someone got a perfect
the rules.
Someone got a perfect 10-0, and I had to disqualify them because they didn't follow the rules. There was one person who predicted Jungle Boy in the friggin' Battle Royal. The one person was the person who swept the card, but unfortunately didn't like the page or comment, so I had no idea who you were. But Brian Markle ended up winning with not a 9-1 record, so he got his gift card. I confirmed with him yesterday that he received his gift card, so I hope you enjoy and get some sweet merch. Also, if you want, he has a band. He's a huge wrestling fan. It's All Been Done. Follow them on Facebook. Give them a listen. They have some great music. And I really enjoyed this contest. It was really cool to see where everyone went. I mean, the Battle Royal was pretty much swinging Christian Cage. You had one Preston Vance. You had one person pick the Blade. Adam Page was the favorite, Sting and Darby, but it was kind of cool because towards the end, it showed the unpredictability like what we had. It was so all over the place. Like I charted it out in Excel, and it was so all over the place. And it shows that this isn't like WWE where you can do a slam dunk prediction. So with WWE, we might have to do something different because I think everybody can predict some of those cards.
So I'm gonna, on this show right now, put him on the spot. You said he has his own band, right?
Yes.
What if he did a song for us?
Well, he listens, so Brian, ball's in your court.
That would be pretty cool. Like if, what if his intro song, what if we were able to add some of our stuff to his song and have an intro with his song? That would be pretty cool, I think, personally, but we'll see. Maybe he doesn't have time, or maybe he's not up to it, but it'd be pretty cool. And like I said, putting him on the spot right on the show without even talking to Tim or Mongo, I just think it'd be pretty freaking cool if he was able to do that. So
yeah, I agree. So that is our rundown of Double or Nothing. I'm going to give this a high grade. I'm going to give it a 9.5. I really enjoyed this one. There wasn't any let me up matches or any segments that were kind of a letdown. So I'm going to give it a 9.5 here.
Yeah, I was going to say it's in the 9 range all day long. The only way that it could have been a 10 in my book would have been if it was a little bit shorter and if some of the predictability from a couple of the matches weren't as predictable. That's it. I mean, the wrestling itself, the matches were great. And like I said, some of the stuff was a little bit long, and like Mongo said, it's hard to have a battle royal go quickly, like especially the way they format that. So again, it's nitpicking because this was a fantastic show.
No, I give it a 9.5 as well. And I think if Cody had fought QT in that blow-off feud, I think that's what would elevate it to 10, to my opinion, is if that match had meant something a little bit more. But that's also nitpicking from my aspect. And I think it's great. I can't wait for All Out in September when that's coming, because they're already going to start building to that. So I look forward to their pay-per-views. That's the big difference between AEW and WWE. I look forward. Like I used to love going to Roland's house when I was a kid, or going to friends' houses when I was a kid, and you get the snacks and you get ready to watch pay-per-view. Like when you went over to Tim's, like I can't wait till we can all sit down and watch pay-per-view together again. Hopefully when I have a bigger place, we can all sit down, because that's what it's about, is getting excited, getting hyped. And that's what AEW does. It delivers. You get your snacks, your pizza rolls, you sit down, you watch the pay-per-view, and you're friggin' entertained. WWE feels almost like a chore. You're like, I gotta watch Backlash. I don't know what the hell's going on. Oh, sweet, there's a triple threat match, and you release the guy who just fought in the triple threat match for the title. Cool. So now I don't care about your product. Where AEW is like, if you want to see more, keep watching on Dynamite, and hey, check out All Out in September. Well, I'm gonna order it for $50 because you're giving me a reason to.
And I'm putting this out there now too, that honestly, and this is 100% truth. If Brock Lesnar comes back, I'm not watching. So if we do anything, prediction shows or whatever, I'm not gonna, even if I might predict it just to predict it, but I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not. It's stupid at this point how predictable and how it's almost insulting to the fans to treat us the way that they do. And I don't think they realize that, because they're getting money, so they don't really give a shit anymore. and NBC or Peacock getting the network and the money they put in for that or whatever. Vince, they say they do what's best for business and they listen to the fans. They're full of shit. They don't listen to anybody but their Vince's own mind as to what he thinks is good. And for CM Punk had it right. He's an out-of-touch old man. And I know I'm going back on another, kind of, off-topic rant, but it's true. When I said, what if we stop watching, I'll be one of them, just because I'd rather watch a rerun of The Big Bang Theory on TBS than watch on a Sunday night than watch that pay-per-view if Brock Lesnar's in it. Sorry, don't care.
But on a good note, if you guys are listening to this on Apple Podcast, help us beat their algorithm. Please make sure you're dropping a review. If you want to write us a comment, please write us a comment. Every time we get a review, it helps bump us up and not keep us hidden. Same thing with any of our other socials. Please follow our Twitter, Facebook. It helps us beat those algorithms. Otherwise, we have to pay for those stupid ads. So let's beat the system together, because we enjoy bringing you these shows. And I know I sound like a broken record, and I figure we want to end on a good note, but please make sure you can do it. Help us, because we want to make sure we can get the best content for you, and we have fun doing it, and we don't want to be hidden because of stupid algorithms to go off your Big Bang Theory.
Yep.
Well, and don't bury the lead here, Mongo. We need your support for the podcast so we can get Mongo a bigger place. That's our goal. Let's make some money off of this thing so we can get Mongo into a bigger place.
This is his de facto GoFundMe.
Yes. So coming up for you guys next week, on our show we've talked about strap-on and balls before, so now it's about time for us to talk about one-night stands. So we're going to talk about ECW One Night Stand 2006, and One Night Stand is on Peacock. Go figure that.
Yeah.
Go figure that. So that's highlighted by John Cena versus Rob Van Dam. Roland kind of foreshadowed this earlier with the whole if Cena wins, we riot thing. So looking forward to covering that show. And that should be a good one to cover for you guys next week.
Yeah, I mean, Mongo brought it up when we watched Backlash from, 06 that, Rob Van Dam had the Money in the Bank briefcase and that they were building towards that. And this is the show they were building towards. So it kind of goes along with, following up a story that we kind of foreshadowed. And then the following week, we're right back with TNA, which is Slammiversary. So we've got some really cool stuff coming up. And, we like bouncing around. If there's somebody out there that likes certain, companies more than others and likes certain eras more than others, let us know and we'll see what we can do. We're open to any suggestion that you think would be cool to hear. And the worst case scenario, we have an episode it's not listened to a lot, we don't talk about it again. We're not afraid to go there. So, let us know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll do our best to try to appease you.
Yeah, and unfortunately, sometimes the hard part of some of these old libraries is trying to find them. So as much as I'd love to get the guys on board and do some Ring of Honor shows, some of their shows are harder to find and watch, like their super cards. So we do also are limited to what we can access, because there's some things we can get, but it's pointless to pay $30 for a DVD for something that we're going to watch maybe once or twice. So here's hoping that AEW is successful and continues success, because if there's more streaming content, then there's more we can do. And thankfully, with what we have now, we have a bunch of different brands, and unlike Bruce Pritchard, no brand is off limits, no impression's that good. So that's what we're here for.
Well, and that's the other thing too. Like, Bruce wasn't able to record. That's the other thing these releases did, is that reportedly him and some of the other execs have been in the Performance Center for the last 3 days trying to build new stars. You had stars.
Do you say trying to ruin new stars? I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Her. Yeah. Well, but it's just it's comical in a way that Bruce has talked about it before, that he has it written in his contract for WWE. He's still able to do the podcast, but yet he only is on time once a month at best, and some of it is because Vince is an idiot. Like letting all these people go. They're like, well, what do we do now? Like you said, the women's division on SmackDown has seven women in it now. What do we do? Oh, we got to find more talent. Oh, let's go down the PC and see who's ready. And then what's going to happen now is they're going to pull people up that don't belong up there yet. They're going to rush them, and then they're going to be like, well, that's the reason why they failed. No, you screwed them up by rushing them.
Has Vince ever watched the movie Moneyball, or has he ever watched any baseball general manager? Because take cues from baseball. If your general manager is depleting your farm system and then trading and releasing talent and then coming to you, the coach, and saying, why are there no butts in the seats, pal? Because you got rid of the talent and called up people and you're setting people up to fail. And that's what Vince does, is he's basically going to the farm system as like, I want them, and them. Well, they're not really quite TV ready. It's fine. We'll figure something out. Then you give him a stupid gimmick. I don't understand him. Well, you didn't give a chance to understand him or her. Aleister Black released what his gimmick was. It sounded awesome. The Allfather gimmick was going to be him as the devil that forgot he was the devil, but he only remembered he did a very bad thing, and that he was going to lead towards that and become this demonic character. But you didn't let it flesh out. You gave it like 3 weeks, let him kick Big E in the head one. Give up on him. Keith Lee. I mean, we can make a whole episode just on this, and it's sad, but I'm glad that, we can go back in time and watch One Night Stand 2006 when they had a clue, and that we can watch AEW and Impact, and we can watch some other shows. I mean, it's pretty bad when I feel like we're watching WCW 2000s right now in the current era. The pandemic era for WWE, they lost the pandemic era. If you want to talk about the golden era, the attitude era, the pandemic era, WWE crashed and burned. And it's not because of the pandemic, because look at the other companies that thrived through the pandemic. AEW had no crowds, but it never felt like there was no crowds. It took WWE months to realize we should probably put some of our wrestlers up there to give some noise. Like, you have to listen to what people want. I'm not going to watch something without crowds again. That was too weird. I don't think I could do that ever again.
Yeah. We all done with our soapboxes for this episode.
I just wanted to make sure we didn't go any further to WCW 2000. We don't want Tim to get broken again.
Yeah. That was definitely not wonderful.
Oh no. Oh, no.
I'm done.
On that note, we should probably get out of here.
Probably, yeah.
Full disclosure, it is 12:45 in the morning.
That's true. Yeah, we recorded late Friday night, early Saturday morning. So yeah, it's yeah.
The One Night Stand 2006 is coming up for you guys next week. Until then, I'm Tim Kurt.
I'm Roland Fulis.
And I'm Mongo.
And this is Wrestling with Wrestling Past and Present.
I hope you're all having a nice day.